So we are talking about anti-aging, and anti-aging is a major issue. When we talk about anti-aging, we talk about wrinkles, dry skin, sagging skin. And the question is why this all happens and what can we do from our point of view in terms of topical application in order to reduce the signs of aging. So in order to understand this, we need to look at the structure of the skin. You see the top line is the cuticle, or then the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. The changes that we are looking for are happening in the dermis. So there are three major components of the dermis that we have to keep in mind that are the major ingredients that are associated with aging skin. What are these three major ones? So you heard about collagen fibers. The second one are elastin fibers. And then maybe another part that's not less important is hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is the buffer that the elastin and the collagen exist. Without the collagen and elastin, the skin starts to show aging. Look what's happening at aged skin. You see that on the top, we see the wrinkles. Then, of course, we see that the collagen fibers are significantly degrading over time, and there is no support for the skin. Wherever there is no support, there is a wrinkle that we can see. In addition, you see we are losing some of the elastin, and as so, we are losing the flexibility of the skin, the supple of the skin. And then we are losing hyaluronic acid. And because there is no hyaluronic acid, there is no buffer to hold the skin tight and firm. So these are the issues. So all the purpose of any kind of a delivery system is to supply enough ingredients that enable to resynthesize collagen, hyaluronic acid, and so. So what is the solution? We are offering here to use HydroSal Youth. This is a technology that can support fast and lasting, youthful looking skin. Now, why do we suggest to use this technology? Because we want to supply continuously ingredients to build up hyaluronic acid. This is number one. Then collagen, and the last thing to supply is elastin. Why this is the priority? Because the turnover time. The turnover for hyaluronic acid is pretty fast, hours to a couple of days. So if somebody is, let's say, injected with hyaluronic acid, within a couple of hours and days, it starts to degrade. Collagen has a turnover time of 90 to 120 days, so it's a little bit longer time. And elastin is a matter of years. So wrinkles don't show up just one day like that. It's a process that takes years. Okay, another motivation to offer you the HydroSal Youth and to use it is to have a topical product and an alternative to injection of hyaluronic acid and other things. And the whole idea is to provide something, a technology that one can use, see the effect almost immediately, and the effect lasts for longer. So this is the major concept, and you will learn in a couple of minutes how does it all work. So there are four functional ingredients. I mentioned three components in the skin structure, but now we have four functional ingredients that play a role in anti-aging. Number one, hyaluronic acid. Now you know why, because of the fast turnover. Therefore, it's need to be supplied continuously. It's a very powerful hydrating ingredient, and we are using different kind of hyaluronic acid, and I will go into details in a few minutes. The second active ingredient is copper peptides. These are peptides associated with the copper ion. And what they do is they stimulate the collagen synthesis. And by this, they are affecting healing, rejuvenation, anti-inflammatory, texture, and so on. Number 3 are ceramides. We use ceramides for multiple purposes. Ceramides are supporting the barrier function, in addition to other functions that we use in a delivery system. And the last one is resveratrol. Resveratrol is a botanical extract, is a very powerful polyphenol antioxidant, and it has an effect on preserving the processes in the skin. The first one is hyaluronic acid. You may be familiar with this. It's a powder, it's a carbohydrate, and it's able to absorb 1,000 times of water, 1,000 times its weight in water. So it's a very hydrophilic material. What's unique about hyaluronic acid that we should keep in mind, and that will maybe explain you better the need to use in a delivery system, is the cells in our body are producing hyaluronic acid, and also the cells in biotechnology processes. The cells producing the high molecular weight hyaluronic acid. High molecular weight, we're talking about millions, and I will give more information. These high molecular weight molecules continuously break down either by oxidation, by enzymes, by free radical, and so on, into smaller molecular weight. So we can differentiate them into middle, low, or very low. Now, accumulation of the low molecular weight could signal to produce inflammation. So we don't want to see inflammation on the skin. Inflammation is a very bad thing, and it's inducing aging. The short version, the short chains, can be recycled back to the cell. The cells are able to use them and resynthesize. But with aging, our ability to synthesize high molecular weight is significantly reduced. Therefore, additional hyaluronic acid, high molecular weight, or middle molecular weight are very beneficial. So this explains why we need to use hyaluronic acid and why we need to use it in a continuous manner. The second functional ingredient is copper peptide. You see the copper has a blue color, it's a powder, and you see it's basically a peptide with a copper unit associated to this. So we're talking about small peptides bound with the copper, and they occur naturally in our body. The function is to promote collagen synthesis, to repair the tissue, and with the collagen, of course, repair wrinkles. And it's also provide an overall antioxidant defense. It reduces inflammation as well. The limitation of using copper peptide as is sensitivity to some consumers. The skin is sensitive to this and produce redness, itching, burning. And then there is a limitation about compatibility of the copper peptide with other ingredients, such as, for example, vitamin C. It's causing a complex that destabilizes the formula. So in addition, the additional amount added topically of copper peptide can induce allergic effect. And that's, again, a negative effect on the skin. The third material is ceramides. I talked before about ceramides. It's basically lipids, fat. It's available as solid as it also gelled, melt down to be used. The function is of ceramide is mostly to maintain the skin barrier, which is critical because if the cells are not able to hold, to retain water, water will be lose water, and the skin look dull, and there is no ability to produce ingredients. There is no osmotic pressure that allows the enzymes to operate. Ceramide also help us in terms of being anti-inflammatory. It soothes, it's calm, irritated skin, and therefore it's used in cases of eczema, dermatitis, rosacea, and so on. In this case, we use it also to improve the delivery of other ingredients such as copper peptide and hyaluronic acid into the skin, because this is fat and the fat are more compatible in the skin, and therefore the ceramide is used in this case. When I explain it more, when I talk about the structure of the delivery system, this becomes the core and the ingredients are incorporated in this core, and the ceramide is able to enhance their penetration to the deeper layers. Ceramide by itself is not a great material for anti-aging. It typically works in synergy with some other materials, other humectant, antioxidant, and so on. Ceramides are sensitive to light, air, and heat. And in the production process, you must melt them first. So typically, if you add them in a free form, you need to melt the product beforehand. The fourth is resveratrol. Resveratrol typically comes from extract of grapes, but not only grapes, it's also available in berries, peanuts, and so on. It's a very powerful antioxidant. It's so powerful that it's very difficult to control. It immediately reacts, and you can see the change in color from white to black to brown. It's a very good antioxidant, and it works as an anti-aging on different layers. It promotes collagen synthesis, inhibits collagen degradation. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps to soothe and calm the skin, and it's also used as a UV protection material. Resveratrol used also as a skin toning in terms of reducing the appearance of hyperpigmentation and so on. The limitation is very difficult to use it in the formula because it's not soluble in water. It's not soluble in other solvents. It requires, for example, ethanol. It's very sensitive to light and will change the color, air, heat, and so. It also has low bioavailability when applied on the skin, just because it cannot penetrate to the deeper layer. And of course, it has very low water solubility, and we always use it in encapsulated form. So now I told you about the 4 ingredients that we encapsulate in HydroSal technology. So this is a kind of an illustration of HydroSal technology. It contains the following. The medium molecular weight of hyaluronic acid in the center, in the core. It also contains low molecular weight hyaluronic acid. It's also in the core. Then the boosters are the ceramide, the resveratrol, and copper peptide. They're also all part of the core. And what's interesting about this construction of the technology is that the shell is made of high molecular weight hyaluronic acid. High molecular weight hyaluronic acid cannot penetrate the skin. They can only stay on the surface. So we use them to hold all the other ingredients and to adhere to the surface so they can form a barrier on top of the skin. So this is the construction of the technology. Now, now how we actually detail the design, I'm giving you this information so you have more appreciation to how this technology can help you develop product based on the technology. So we know that the product, as you can see in the bottom white, is liquid, and it's very much clear and transparent. There is 2 functions in the technology. There is the core. The core is based on a botanical gum, together with the hyaluronic acid, again, the middle and low molecular weight, combined with the ceramides, resveratrol, and the copper peptide. The gum and the ceramides are holding the other ingredients and making up the core. The shell is based on 2 polymers, hydroxypropyl cellulose, that doesn't have a benefit directly to the skin, and hyaluronic acid, high molecular weight, and this is the construction of the system. There are other ingredients that are solvents and preservatives that are also used in the formula, but in terms of activity, these are the structural and activity ingredients. Now let's look at the mechanism. This is the cream that we use. It's a lotion that contains the technology HydroSal Youth. When you apply it on the skin with a little bit of rubbing it on the skin, the structure of the sphere breaks down and the shell become a barrier layer, and all the ingredients are now exposed, and with the support of the lipophilic properties of ceramides, the other ingredients now can easily sink into the skin and into deeper layers of the skin. So this is the mechanism by which it works. Now, how do we know that it works? And how do we measure the result of using this technology in a lotion? So we use skin testing, corneometer CM825. This machine with certain electrode can measure hydration. The same machine with a different electrode can use transepidermal water loss. And of course, self-evaluation is seeing. As you know, seeing is believing. What did we get? So first of all, this is the formula. We use 2% of HydroSal Youth in the formula. One can use a little bit more or a little bit less. We optimize it at 2%. And it's very compatible in a variety of formulation because there is no charge involved, and they are very compatible overall. So this is the lotion that we use. Now, clinical. First of all, does it work? How long it takes to see an effect? And what is the effect? So we applied it on skin, and we see that we focus on the crow's feet. It's the wrinkles around the eye because they are very sensitive. You see, this is before we applied, and this is a single application. Immediately, in a couple of minutes, you can see a major effect in reduction of fine lines. And this is the major effect of this technology. Once you use it, 2%, you can see and feel the effect, the reduction of fine line. So this is the ultimate clinical that every consumer would like to enjoy with any kind of product. We can support further the claims by measuring, for example, moisturization of the skin. You see that once we applied it and we tested over 8 hours, this is an 8 hours point of measuring. You see the technology offers a significantly higher level of moisturization compared to the control without the technology. It's actually 25%, which is a significant improvement in moisturization. And you see that it lasts longer. It's not like a half an hour exercise, but it's a long lasting from a single application. The other parameter for successful product is the barrier. The barrier is the most critical part to retain the moisture and healthy skin. So what we are measuring in transepidermal water loss, TEWL. It's measuring the gram per meter square per hour of transport of water, grams of water per surface area per time. So what do you see? That the transport without the technology is much higher than with technology. So the technology reduces the transport of water, which means it enhances the ability of the barrier to hold the water. 10% is a significant difference between with the technology or without the technology. So the technology is key to get the effect, okay? Not just the ingredients by themselves, but the technology with the ingredients. And now I want to talk about what's the benefit of the technology, the encapsulation. So in general and also in specific, when we encapsulate material, we protect them from degradation. And degradation could be caused by air, oxygen, light, and heat, and so on. So if you want to extend the shelf life, the potency of the product, recommended always to encapsulate it, to develop a barrier around it. Then the technology offer a control release, which means the release of the ingredients is gradual. The skin is not able to absorb all at once. The skin is able to absorb like a small spoon over time. And that's what the technology is providing, a gradual release or continuous hydration, continuous plumping, and overall benefits for the skin. Number three, it's enhanced efficacy. So once you have a product that's more stable, more viable, fresh, and it's slowly released, you get enhanced efficacy, which means you can see the effect on the skin in a shorter time. And of course, the other benefit is the proprietary position in terms of marketing this kind of product. So HydroSal Youth, we can claim with this product several things. Hydration, because it provides intense hydration and moisturization to the skin. It's a technology for plumping. It's plumping, and therefore its use reduces the effect of fine lines, wrinkles, and it overall gives the skin a more youthful appearance. It improves skin texture. Skin texture means the skin becomes smoother, it's softer, it's more flexible, it's elastic, it's more firming, and it supports healing. Healing is useful in case people have inflammation and scars, and it also helps to repair scars. So multiple benefits. That means that you can use this in different forms, in a moisturizing form, in a serum, as a toner, sunscreen, in makeup product, ice cream, and so on. Almost endless possibilities to use it. What I would like you to remember from this is this picture, the before and after. And remember, HydroSal Youth is a comprehensive approach for anti-aging. It's not like one ingredient. It's a complex that works in a synergistic way. When resveratrol is anti-aging, it's also antioxidant, so it helps to protect the ceramides and protect the other ingredients that we use. Consumer can see and feel the benefit immediately. Like in a couple of minutes from application, one can see, and of course, it's lasting, and the more you use it, the more you build up the dermis, the collagen, and the hyaluronic acid. It's very easy to formulate. So if you are planning to formulate anything and you have a kind of a base, very easy to incorporate it. There is no limitations in terms of pH, although the ideal pH is 5.5 and up to 6. Temperature should be always used at room temperature, and simple mixing is sufficient to incorporate. There is no concern about breaking the capsules unless you heavily homogenize it. And the technology meets Sephora Clean regulations as well as China compliant conditions. So it could be sold globally. That's very much summarizing the introduction of the product. I want to thank you for attending.